And now, we will take you through one of the biggest developments that happened in West Asia during 2022. I'm talking about the anti-hijab protests that rocked Iran. These protests made global headlines for several weeks running. In the next report, we take you through the most important things you need to know about the protests in Iran. Let's take a look.
Mahsa Amini, a name that will have a significant place in Iran's history for generations to come. A name that is now symbolizing freedom and revolution. September 13th, 2022 was the day when this 22-year-old woman was arrested by Iran's morality police for not wearing their hijab properly. 3 days later, Amini died in police custody. What followed next was an uproar that Iran has not witnessed in decades. An outburst against the government that shook the roots of the Iranian regime. Right after Amini's death, people in Iran started uniting against the strict hijab measures that the Islamic country follows. Iranians gathered to oppose the brutality that women face for violating these rules. With Amini's funeral, chants of death to dictator emerged. Women took to the streets to cut their hair and burn hijabs in protest, but the country's security forces too were quick to react. The authorities jailed the journalists who reported Amini's death. A crackdown began on those who took to the streets to voice dissent. The government suspended internet services in the capital. Soon enough, a protester's death was reported amidst clashes in Kurdistan on September 19. The students' union accused government authorities of poisoning them to curb the agitation. The rising rage attracted international attention. The US slapped sanctions on Iran's morality police, which ensures that the rules of Islamic Republic for dressing are followed. The impact abroad produced an even angrier reaction from the government, and with that, September 30th marked the year's deadliest day of clashes, as 66 protesters lost their lives. Despite the deadly crackdown, Iran's supreme leader openly backed the police action on October 3rd. By the end of October, Iran's state media made it clear that around 1,000 protesters will face trial. But as opposed to the rising bid to curb the stir, the protests seem to be spreading further. From a commoner to celebrities to sports teams, it spared none. They were all united by anti-government sentiments. Taking the agitation one step further, Iran's football team refused to sing the national anthem before their first match at the Football World Cup in Qatar. The UN swung into action, and on November 24th, the UN Human Rights Council voted to appoint an independent investigation into Iran's deadly crackdown on protesters, in which hundreds have died. Supreme Leader Khamenei's niece and even her sister have voiced their concerns by calling out the Iranian government's actions. Amidst the rising tide of protest, an Iranian public prosecutor said that the morality police have been wound up. The announcement was made on December 4th. Weeks have gone by, but no official confirmation has been forthcoming.
until the women of Iran.
Despite the global backlash, despite the unrelenting protests, Iran continued its crackdown. On December 8th, the authorities executed a protester, Mohsen Shekari, for injuring a policeman. The first execution was followed by a few more in the weeks after. A human rights group says over 500 protesters have been killed so far. The toll includes at least 69 children, with over 18,000 arrested. Iran is witnessing a revolution, an upheaval which may change the country's future. Bureau Report, WION World is One.